Today, we're going to talk about what areas of concern you should consider when you get your home inspection back. Now, I made a video a little while back explaining kind of like the steps of an inspection. And if you haven't seen that video, you can go back and see that video. I'll put the link for it up here somewhere. Watch that video and then come back and watch this video. When you get your home inspection back, it can be really intimidating. First of all, it's like 30 pages long. And second of all, it covers everything that you talked about with that home inspector, from really big things to really small things. So when you get that inspection report back, it can be intimidating. And for many home buyers, especially first-time home buyers, you start to think to yourself, oh my gosh, is this the right home for me? And look at how big this report is, and look at all the things that are wrong with this house. In this video here, we're going to break it down into 4 categories that you should look at when you're going over the home inspection, and what are things that are worth being concerned about, and what are some things that are not really worth being concerned about. So let's get started. If you're new here, my name is Sarah Gelacandro. I'm a real estate agent working in Eastern Massachusetts. So if you are in the market to buy, sell, invest, or rent, get in touch with me. I can help you out. My contact information is in the description below, and you can also schedule to meet with me with my calendar link that is in the description below. All right, let's get started. When you are going over your inspection report, there are 4 categories that I tell my buyers to look at. Those categories are structural, dangerous, mold or significant signs of water, and things that should work that don't work. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is structural. Now, when I talk about structural, I'm talking about primarily the foundation, although structural encompasses more than that. When you get your inspection report back, there may be something about the inspection, and usually it has to do with cracks. Now, some cracks are nothing but just a tiny crack. And then there are other cracks that are a bit more concerning, and your home inspector will go over that with you. So if you have significant cracks in your foundation, that is considered structural. Something else that could tip you off that there are some structural issues with the home is looking at the garage or a back deck. If the deck and the garage look like they could topple over from a, light breeze, that's a structural issue. Another item that could signal structural damage is the roof. Now, home inspectors don't typically go up on the roof. They can look through binoculars or whatnot and give you their best assessment of the roof. But if there's any concern regarding the roof, you really should get someone who knows roofs out to take another look at it. But a damaged roof could signal some sort of structural issue. And then moving into the interior, uneven floors. Now, uneven floors don't always mean there's something bad. I've walked into plenty of older, primarily, homes, and in Massachusetts we have a lot of older homes that have kind of wonky floors that if I were to put a marble somewhere on the floor, it would most definitely roll. That and bowing walls. Now, if your wall is bowing or you have some really big cracks in the wall or the roof or the ceiling, there could be something structural going on. The second category is dangerous. Now, dangerous means that if it's not up to code dangerous, it could also mean that there's something going on in the house that could pose a potential danger. And I always think about electrical work and plumbing when I think of danger. Now, almost always in an inspection, something with the electrical comes back. Either a few outlets are not working, or maybe a few outlets are not grounded. But if you have something significant, then that's dangerous. Something else that could pose danger is radon. Now, I made a whole video about radon, and I'll post the link up here so you can learn a little bit more about radon. But radon is a dangerous gas. It's a naturally occurring gas that is in the ground, and all homes, whether they're new or old, have some radon in it. The concern comes when the radon level gets too high, and usually you find radon in basements. If the radon test comes back too high, well, that is dangerous. The next category is mold or significant signs of water. Now, mold can be found in lots of different places. So everyone thinks the basement, and that of course is where a lot of mold is found because you have like the hot water heater down there. Also, when you think of basements, you think of water coming in from the outside through the foundation, and all of that can create water damage. And something, depending on how bad the water damage is, could cause some real issues. Another place where you will see water damage and or signs of mold is the attic. And of course, bathrooms in and of themselves because they're moist environments. The last category is items that should work but don't work and have not been disclosed. So let's say the dishwasher doesn't work. Nowhere in the paperwork, nowhere in the listing, nowhere in the seller's disclosure does it say that the dishwasher doesn't work. Well, your inspector goes in. First thing they usually do is run the dishwasher. If the dishwasher doesn't work or suddenly you see it leaking, that is something that you can go back to the seller and say, hey, look, your dishwasher doesn't work, but nowhere in this paperwork does it say that the dishwasher doesn't work. And that is the same for the other appliances, things like the HVAC system, sprinkler system, home security system, garage door openers, all that stuff there. If it doesn't work and the seller discloses, garage door openers don't work, sprinkler system has not been used in 7 years, do not know the condition of the sprinkler system, that's a different story. But if the sprinkler system is supposed to work and the inspector finds that the sprinkler system doesn't work, well, then that could be a significant cost to the home buyer and something that you could potentially go back to the seller and again, figure out a solution. So when you're going through the inspection report, think of those 4 categories. If you can't find a category to put something in, like for instance, you hate the light fixtures in the house. Well, ugly light fixtures are not dangerous. They're not structural. They don't have significant signs of mold or water, and they work fine. They're just ugly. Well, that's not something to go back to the seller and say, hey, look, I want you to replace all the light fixtures because I hate the way they look, or it's not my aesthetic. Things like that, you can't go back to the seller and ask the seller to replace. Look for the larger items that are of concern to you. Structural, mold, signs of significant water damage, things that are supposed to work that doesn't work, and things that are dangerous. So if something in the report comes back that's significant, that fits in one of those 4 categories, then talk with your agent, go back to the seller and figure out a way to make this work, or walk away if the concern is too great for you. One last thing I'm going to leave you with. After you read the inspection report, take a deep breath, walk away from the report for a little bit, then come back, reread the report, and talk with your agent about the report. Reports are daunting, and I've said it a million times, and I'll say it a million more times. Pick out what is really of concern to you and address those issues with your agent and with the seller. Otherwise, let everything else go. Okay, if you have questions about this video, go ahead and put them in the comments. I always read the comments and I always respond. If you got any value out of this video at all, I would appreciate a thumbs up. And of course, please subscribe and hit that little bell so you get notified whenever a new video drops. Thanks so much for stopping by, and we'll see you again soon.